Hey guys, it's Oscar with Hobby News Plus. Thanks for joining me today. And today I wanted to talk about my top 5 picks for value when it comes to NFL rookie classes and next year's NFL trading card products. So there's no particular order to this, but I basically wanted to talk about the entire rookie class, not just the first or second pick, and basically tell you what I think would be the best 5 values or teams to invest in if you're looking to break down products next year, or do breaks, I should say. So the first team I wanted to talk about are the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons are interesting here. They took the first wide receiver off the board, Drake London. Drake London is a 6'4". He's a burner, super productive at USC, so he should be expected to come in and contribute right away, even though the quarterback in Atlanta is Marcus Mariota. Which actually brings me to the next pick, which is Desmond Ridder. So Atlanta's in a rebuilding situation. Unless Mariota comes in and just puts the league on fire, or does really well, or they start winning, I assume Ridder should get a chance late in the season to kind of see what they have. He may not play the entire year, but what I'm trying to get at is Mariota is not expected to be their long-term solution. So Ridder, at some point, maybe late in his first year or second year, should get some opportunity to play. In addition to that, they got Tyler Algier in the 5th round. Normally, you don't put a lot of weight on a running back in the 5th round, but the reality is their running back, their top running back last year was Cordarrelle Patterson, who is a converted wide receiver. So Algier should get a chance to come in and compete right away and get a ton of carries for the Falcons next year, who are probably not going to be the best team. In the 6th round, they took a tight end here, Fitzpatrick. Again, 6th round pick, not necessarily going to come in and contribute a bunch, but when you've got a wide receiver in the 1st round, Desmond Ridder here in the 3rd round, Algier in the 5th, and then you throw in a tight end, it's not a bad rookie class. So that would be one of my top 5 picks here, the Atlanta Falcons. Moving on to the second team here, the New York Jets. And the Jets are the only team that I actually considered with a defensive player, because Sauce Gardner, or Ahmad Gardner, he was expected to be a top 2 or 3, 4 pick. Cornerbacks were taken in the top 3 and 4th picks this year, which is pretty rare. Gardner's considered to be like an all-pro level, maybe borderline Hall of Fame level. I know I'm jumping ahead here, guys, but you get the idea. He was the 4th pick in the draft, and he's expected to be an all-pro. The Jets also took the 2nd wide receiver in the draft, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson at Ohio State, again, he's 6'2", and he's another burner, super productive at Ohio State. So being the 2nd wide receiver taken, he's going to come in, and I expect, he's going to contribute immediately. The 1st running back taken was Breece Hall. So they got the 2nd wide receiver, and then the 1st running back taken, Breece Hall out of Ohio State. He should come in and either start or get a ton of carries, at least split time immediately. So possibly compete for Rookie of the Year would be my guess. So you've got Gardner, their 1st round pick. You've got Garrett Wilson in the 1st round also. And then, of course, you've got Breece Hall in the 2nd round, the running back, who should come in and start. On top of that, you've got Ruckert, who is a tight end out of Ohio State, in the 3rd round. So generally speaking, when a team drafts a player from the 3rd round, 2nd round, 1st round, they are expecting that they should come in and compete for a starting position. Basically past the 3rd round, you're expecting to just, roll the dice and kind of see where it goes. So the Jets would be another one of my top 5 picks here. Moving on, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers, of course, took the 1st quarterback taken with the 20th pick, which is Kenny Pickett. A lot of people were thinking that Pickett was the most NFL-ready quarterback to come in, but maybe 20 was a little bit high. A lot of people also thought that Malik Willis, who we'll talk about in a minute, was the quarterback with the highest potential. So Pickett, being that Mitchell Trubisky is the starter there in Pittsburgh, I look at this situation very similar to Atlanta, which is, unless Pittsburgh comes in and does really, really well, probably towards the end of the year, Pickett will get some playing time. Or, of course, if there's an injury, or maybe if Trubisky just plays horribly, then Pickett might get a chance to play. But I don't think he's going to come in and get a chance to start day one and lead the Pittsburgh Steelers. So moving on, George Pickens they took here in the 2nd round, and then they took another receiver here in the 4th round. So they took, look at this, 2 quarterbacks, Oladokun, which, 7th round quarterbacks, probably not going to make the team or not have too much of a career. Mark my words, let's see that in 5 years. But they did take a wide receiver in the 2nd round and a 4th round, and they lost Juju Schuster. So they lost their top target. They drafted 2, and they're having kind of a quarterback shuffle with Pickett and Trubisky. So it's going to be an interesting year in Pittsburgh, but with 2 receivers and a quarterback that could come in and start, I would say that that's a pretty valuable draft class. That's something that I would look at. Moving on to my 4th team here are the Tennessee Titans. And the Tennessee Titans are an interesting case because they don't have a ton of talent. They did just trade away A.J. Brown, and they got Treylon Burks here in the first round with the 18th pick. So the wide receiver class this year was considered to be one of the strongest positions, if not the strongest position. So even though Burks is here drafted with the 18th pick, he does have a lot of talent. He should come in and contribute right away, even though Tannehill, he's a serviceable quarterback. I won't knock Tannehill. He's had some really good games, some decent seasons, but he's not elite. I wouldn't expect him to just come in and immediately click right away with Burks. Moving on to the next pick here is Malik Willis. We talked about a little earlier. So Tannehill is probably not the type of quarterback who's going to struggle to the point to where he's going to get pulled. Also, the Titans should have a decent team this year, so I don't see Malik Willis coming in playing better than Tannehill or relieving him at the end of the year, unless they have just a terrible season and maybe Willis comes in the final game just to see what they got. But Willis shouldn't get a lot of playing time. That's Tannehill's job, and I don't think he's going to lose that. In the fourth round, they took Hassan Haskins. And in the fourth round as well, they took Okonkwo out of Maryland, who's a tight end. Fifth round, they took another receiver. So you can see receiver, quarterback, running back, tight end, receiver. They're loaded as far as offensive draft picks. So that's one of the reasons why I would suggest picking Tennessee Titans when it comes to, if you're looking for value, if you're looking for something long-term with 5 offensive prospects, wide receiver, Malik Willis, Hassan Haskins in the fourth round. These guys are expected to chip in, so definitely go with the Tennessee Titans if you're looking for some value there. And then my final team here are the Washington Commanders, which I will never get used to. I wonder if you have. So the Washington Commanders, interesting team as well. Not a ton of talent, but they took Dotson in the first round, who was a wide receiver out of Penn State. They took Brian Robinson in the third round, a running back out of Alabama. And Gibson was their starting running back last year. He had barely over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. So, he had a decent productive season. But when you draft the running back in the third round, nowadays, you generally expect them to come in and contribute right away. The downside is Robinson was the fifth or sixth running back taken, so he's not expected to come in and be a starter, or what I'm saying is he wasn't the first or second or third running back taken. So we'll kind of see how that goes. And then Sam Howell in the fifth round. What's really interesting about Sam Howell is they have Heineke, and then they also have Carson Wentz. So both Heineke and Wentz have basically been proven. I guess Heineke's a newer guy. He's much younger than Wentz. But Wentz has proven that he could be an elite level quarterback, and then he's also proven that he can just absolutely blow games. So that's interesting. You also have Heineke there, so I don't see Howell really getting any playing time in his first year, but the fact that he was drafted in the fifth round, he'll probably make the team and be on the roster. So with Washington, you've got Dotson in the first round here. You've got Robinson in the third round, Sam Howell in the fifth, and then Cole Turner, who's a tight end, in the sixth round. So not the most interesting class. I would probably rank Washington fifth out of these 5, but this year there is not a lot to choose from, so there doesn't appear to be any rookie classes that are just going to set the roof on fire. But those are my top 5 picks. I'm curious, do you agree, do you disagree? Let me know your comments and your feedback, and if you would help me out by subscribing and liking the video, I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon.